I need to speak a lot more about this because this is the major source of pride in the church: confession of sins to one another. Being able to say to somebody, "I'm an open book. I don't have to hide from any person in the world, right? I have cleansed myself of all my sins, and I have nothing to be ashamed about. Now I have holified me and sanctified me, and I can truly say in my pride that I have no shame before my fellow man because I don't have any sin." That's a lie. That's deceiving yourself to the point where you actually think that you've succeeded at making yourself holy. And it's natural because people want to be open and honest and be able to live a life that they feel as if their conscience is clear before their fellow man. And so this whole practice of confessing sins to one another to self-sanctify, and the whole idea that the prayer of a righteous man, which is a lie. This is why I know James is wrong. I mean, I can go into other parts of the Bible, but nowhere in the New Testament is it so clear that it's talking about confessing your sins to one another, and this is where the church pretty much gets it. Yeah, go confess your sins, and if you know, in talk about if this was when he sent out the 70, you know, or the disciples, and if anybody, if you forgive them their sins, there shall be forgiven. Now, the truth is that the apostles or nobody had no right to forgive sins. It was in the name of Christ, and it was if they understood the gospel. But and this was before Christ went to the cross. After the cross, this practice of confessing sins to one another was a snare and a stumbling block to the New Testament church and the Old Testament, because the Jews had read what had happened with John the Baptist, that he was baptizing and people were confessing sins. But you notice none of Paul's writings, or even in the Gospels, it's not, unless it talks about the baptizing of John and the confessions of sin. There is no confessing in the New Testament. You know, the writings of Paul and all the writings do not mention them, except for in Acts, which was the Acts of the Jewish believers. And why is this such a pernicious doctrine? Because it brings people back into dirtying themselves and walking in some sort of pride. It does exactly what the Pharisees does. And by the way, it's what the world does. If you think about it, if you go to business school or in life or anything you do, you have goals to set, and you've got accountability partners, and you've got management meetings where you're trying to reach a goal. This is the way of the world. And so the church is now running your life like a business, like the world, instead of under grace. This is how I know it's so wrong. And it appeals to people because this is what people like to do. But the practice of it is wrong. This is why I know James and Paul argued with one another over the law. James wrote his book to the 12 tribes, basically because of the Gentile Christians and the teachings of Paul and the idea that the law was taken away and they wanted to go back to Mosaic law. And Mosaic law is a mirror of the wisdom of the world, the corporate world. God bless.